Hi, Flosstube. Uh, I have had a hard time dealing with technology and getting these videos up. So it's literally a month later. It is actually July 4th today. And I'm still messing around with the first half of this. But here is my second half. It was part of my problem was the videos were just too long, and nobody wants to sit through that long of a video. So I split them up. The first video is the finishes and my plans for June, which are totally obsolete now that it's July, and Mania, Mania wrap up and all this other stuff. And then I put all of my June WIPs that I wanted to do, that video, I put that on this video. So what you're going to see is what I wanted to do in June. And in a week or two, I will film what I actually got done in June and my plans for the rest of July. So I'll do better at this. I'm still learning the technology and having to up and down, upload, download between a couple different devices. So anyway, but enjoy because they're nice cross stitches, if I do say so myself. Thank you. That was the end of Mania. So now let's talk current WIPs. So at the beginning of this year, I joined the Year of the Dragon Sow by Laurie Stitches. I don't know that she has a YouTube, but she does have an Instagram. I'll link her below. And so that came with the you're supposed to stitch 1,000 stitches on a dragon WIP every month. That's a lot. That's 5 2-hour, because I usually count hours. And so I say about 100 stitches an hour. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending on the project. Like those flags are, I mean, how could you count that? 100 of those and then your flag would be done, kind of. So I count hours. So that would be 10 hours on that one project per month. And that's great if I have 5 Tuesdays in the month or something. But if I don't, on Tuesday I'm stitching the dragon. So he's gotten about 800 stitches in a month. May, he got 2 hours. But you know what? Again, he's for me. And I wasn't intending to stitch him this year. I had other plans. And then when she mentioned the dragon cell, I was like, I have the dragon. I want to finish him. He's for me. He's so cool. I'm not going to finish him this year. But he is getting major progress. This is Teresa Winsler's Celestial Dragon. I know, isn't he awesome? Ooh. So here, zoom in on the dragon. Draggy! Look at his head. Oh, look at he's so good. Look at all those colors. Ugh. Anybody ever stitched a Teresa Winsler, you know what I'm talking about. Holy cow. Oh. So when I picked him up in January, he was getting love in March, for Stitch Asia. He was getting love then. And I had stitched him for some different prompts, like I said, with the Hobbit and stuff, having dragons and whatnot. So when I picked him up, I had this top section done to here. And I had the head of the dragon and the body done to here. No. To here, but I didn't have his arm or either one of his arms. So starting in January, I did his arms, both arms, and this loop of the next loop of dragon. So this is an edge of a page. So that's what I finished up till basically the middle of April. Yeah. So from January to the middle of April, I stitched this section. And yeah, it really took that long. And we're talking 8 hours a month. And then starting in the middle of April, then I was like, okay, I need a break from all of this heavy confetti over here. and all the blends and everything. And so then I picked up the border and I came down and around and did all of this. Now you can see I have a lot of dangling needles. In fact, I have 3, because in order to do this knot work, I have a needle with each of the colors, and there's 3 blends. So 6 colors? No, one of them's not a blend, 5 colors. Anyway, so I have 3 needles stuck in, and that's how I'm working my way around this. That's what I did up here. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. No back stitching yet, and of course no beads. I like to save the back stitching and the beads till the end. I may be sorry, but that's how I'm doing it. So he's very good. I stitched on him like 1 session in May, and then that was it. I was just trying to keep up with Mania. So I'm actually going to do extra on him in June if possible, to catch up, because I did actually want to have significant progress on him, and I guess I have had, but I wanted more. So anyway, so I'm gonna finish this, do the blues, and then continue around the corner here with this. I also thought maybe of coming up here and around too. I'm kind of doing the frame and the dragon at the same time so that I make sure I don't, have a horrible thing happen when I get to the end. I cannot imagine making that amount of stuff. Holy cow, that would be horrible. So that's one of my regulars. Like I said, I've been stitching him on Tuesdays. And that he wasn't in any kind of an order, so I should probably start at the beginning of my week. That would make sense, wouldn't it? So I have 1 canvas work piece, and this was, this designer is no longer designing it. In fact, you can't even get her stuff. Oh, that's really not good color. There we go. So this is by Amy Bear Needlepoints. It's called, it's funny again, it's really yellow. There we go. This is called Desert Sunset, and then there's a matching one that is in blues and greens. It's called Night Flight. So this is actually almost done. I finished all the, oh, he's been over here. Occupational hazard. I finished all the way up to the bottom of the rocks in April, and I didn't intend to stitch him during May. So this is actually not stitched. This is painted. I don't think you can probably tell. Probably not. No. So this is actually painted, and so I'm going to finish. You can see I've started stitching the sun, and I have actually started stitching him up here. Oh, you can see the difference. There we go. So that's actually stitched, and the rest of it is just painted black. Because I realized that on some of these stitches where everything was all horizontal or all vertical, the canvas was showing through, and so this was supposed to be painted according to the pattern. But then my husband was like, well, let's paint some of these others. So I ripped out 3 sections last summer. He helped me paint them, and some of these down here that were also going to be a problem. And so then I, it's kind of not fun stitching through paint, but whatever. I'm learning. So I have to finish the sun and finish the bird, and the plan is to have him done by the end of June, if not sooner. He's my Sunday night stitch. So sometimes if I'm doing schoolwork or whatever, he doesn't get love on Sunday nights, but I do try to finish my schoolwork early enough to put some time in on him on a Sunday night. So once I finish him, I'd love it if I could actually even start the companion piece. I have to do the black outlines first, and that takes a really long time. It's a lot of counting, and pattern's kind of a pain to read. I don't know if all needle counted canvas designs are a pain to read pattern, but this one was. So there's actually an error, and I couldn't figure it out, and I just fudged it when I got there. Luckily, the fills are easy to fudge. Anyway, so this is great. I'm gonna actually have him on the wall in my room here. And yes, my paint is very dark brown. It's almost the darkest brown I can find. I like it. It's bright outside. I live in the desert. I needed a dark room. So he's going to go up on the wall and with his friend when they're both done. I'll get them framed at the same time so they have the same, matching frame. So that's my Sunday stitch. I already talked about my Tuesday stitch, which is the dragon. My Monday stitch has been um these baby, what is that? These baby designs. By Rocking Horse Cross Stitch. She's a Ukrainian designer. And this is gift stitching. So I can't say who it's for. And I will just say that the baby is no longer a baby. We won't say how old the baby is. These were so much bigger than I realized. I've managed to finish 2. So this one I finished. I'm actually going to have to pick it out because I need to stitch a couple more for other people in the same family, and I don't want to stitch these animals a second time. They are humongous. They are so big. This is just hundreds and hundreds of block stitches, and they're super cute, but they take forever. And so I had initially intended to stitch this animal and this animal and this tree. There were 2 kids in the family, and I was going to just do it, the other one in blues. And then, and I don't even want to do them the second time, let alone the third time. So I've rethought this. So what I'm going to do, this is the one I'm currently working on. There's a pink bird here. So that's all that needs to be done is this. It's actually kind of a big bird. It's kind of big. So I'm hoping again to finish him in June and start another one. This was going to be quilts. So I have 6 total, 3 pictures and 3 sets of words. The words are going to go fast. I feel like, I hope so. I don't know what I've gotten myself into, a mess. So I'm going to finish this, and this one is mostly pink. So I'm going to keep that for the first quilt. Because, and then the second one, because it should be blue, and there's not a lot of pink in this one, I'm going to pull out not his cheeks, a little pink in his cheeks, but I'll pull this out and make it blue, and I'll pull these out and make them blue. So there'll be 2 pictures in the quilt. And then I thought, well, I don't want to do the exact same animals all over again because they're huge. So then I found some others. In the meantime, it's been this long. In the meantime, the designer has made some other animals. And so I just actually looked to see if she had, and she did. And I'm super excited about that because then I don't have to stitch them twice or 3 times. And so this is, Rocking Horse Cross Stitch. So I'm not going to stitch the word, obviously, but I will stitch the little tiger. I might put him on a hill so it matches, maybe. Hills are huge. So there's floss, there's brush. So I just, again, do the lion. And there's blush. So they're supposed to be for a bathroom. I think the animals are about the same size. I'm hoping they are. I haven't checked. But anyway, so those animals would be in the boy quilts, along with the elephant, which I need to change colors on. But then they would all kind of go together because all the animals are by the same designer, but they don't all look exactly the same, because otherwise they would be the same. And then the other things I have, and I may just choose 2 so that each one has 2 pictures and 2 sets of words. This was Sugar and Spice and Everything Nice. Let her sleep, for when she wakes, she will move mountains. Though she be but little, she is fierce. So those were the 3 ones I had for the little girl. And then the boy ones. And so again, I think I might just pick 2. Snakes and snails and puppy dog tails. That's what little boys are made of. And then I asked for this. Though he be but little, he is fierce. Or he is strong, I guess. I asked for that. So it would match kind of, and then dream big, little one. So And I might see, so if I'm only picking two, I might find one more, see if I can ask her to chart one more little saying for a little boy. So I don't know what else you would say for a little boy, because two little boys and one little girl. I don't know, what would be another little saying? I don't want it to be too, like, whatever, but too stereotypical, I guess. But, you know, the parents like blue and pink, they did gender reveals and this kind of thing. So, you know, it's all good. And so if this person's watching this video, she'll probably figure out who it's for. But that's okay. It's taking so long. She'll probably have forgotten by the time I get it to them. I think my plan is better though. So instead of 6 per quilt, it's only going to be 4. I think that's better. 5. I could probably work out 5, but again, I'd like to get these done before they hit middle school or, you know, elementary school even. It's just so much work stitching. I have to watch a movie or something. It's so boring to stitch. Anyway, okay. This is taking a long time. This isn't really a proper WIP parade, but it kind of is, because it's like all my mania things and then all my main normal monthly things. I have like 90 some things that are started, but I wouldn't call them proper WIPs because I don't work on them on a regular basis. So like I have things that are, I have 12 Christmas things and I bring them out at Christmas in July and in December. And I have some other stuff that hardly ever comes out or never comes out. So I mean they're WIPs, but I don't really work on them. I've worked on getting, last year I managed to get the number of WIPs down below 100 because it was like 103. So I think I got it down to 92. And that was with starting something every month last year too. So I think I did pretty well. Most of the starts were small and I finished them as well. So I think I started the year with 92 WIPs or 93, somewhere in there. And so I'm trying to finish things and get them down so that I can get to more of my stuff. And hashtag selfish stitching, I'm trying to get to more of my stuff. Yeah, it's good. I'm working on it. Okay, next thing I'm planning to finish in June. Oh, that's I think that's might be part of my Aussie jewels. All right. Okay, that is really variegated and a little bit hard to see. There we go. So this will say when it's done, I'm not getting old, I'm becoming, and then the word vintage really big here across the bottom. And then the crown isn't done. I just got really tired of gold. I had the really bright idea to stitch this over one, so it wouldn't be too big. And so not only am I stitching it over one, I'm also stitching it with silk and blending filament. Yeah. So, but I think it looks good. So this is for my mother-in-law. I started this intending to give it to her for her 80th birthday. She's now turning 85. I'm finishing it in June if I go blind. I didn't work on it in the last few years because I had some other things for her I was stitching and I was hoping to finish those because it was a set of the Teresa Wensler fruit ornaments, not the fruit bell pulls, but little ornaments. And they were pretty intensive stitching. Each one was about 30 hours of stitching because Teresa Wensler. And I just finished those this last Christmas. I did 3 last year. I think I was finishing FFOing at Christmas. So, yeah. Anyway, so I didn't work on this because I was like, I'm already giving her these other ones. And her birthday is right near Christmas. So I like, okay, I'll finish it for 85. I'm going to make it a pillow for her bed. She loves purple. And so she will think this is absolutely hilarious. She loves this kind of junk. So I'm not getting old, I'm becoming vintage. Over one with blending film. Okay, so now we have a couple more finishes in order to talk about another thing that I'm working on in June. I started last year. I started the Cottage Garden samplings Year in the Woods animals. And I stitch them on Saturdays. So you may be saying, "Oh, you're skipping Wednesday and Thursday and Friday." We'll get there. So, oh, and I was gonna say that the baby stitching, I'm gonna start taking that to school and stitch that at school in the morning because I think I have to be there early because of traffic. So I'm gonna stitch that, on a daily basis instead of every Monday. We'll see how that works. If I'm not making progress, I'll give it a day again. So that's a Monday. I'll get to the Wednesdays in a minute. This is Saturday. Sorry. My laptop is very old, and even though I don't have anything on it but just the OS, apparently I ran out of disk space, so I had to move the recording to my SD card, and now I'll do this again. So I'll have to figure out how to stitch these together. I'm gonna learn a lot. So I was saying, we talked about my Sunday stitch, the canvas work, the baby stitching, which is usually on Monday, but I'm going to try to do it in the mornings now. Drive to school, avoid the traffic, and then sit and stitch. Dragon is on Tuesday. I guess we can talk about Wednesday in order since I got stopped anyway. We might as well. So I do chatelaine Wednesday. I have two chatelaines by Martina Weber on the go and like 40 million in my list to do. That's how it happens. So the one that I've been currently doing this last couple months is Frosty Knot Garden. Which got almost no love in April and very little love or no love at all in May. So I think I stitched it once or twice in April and none at all in May. It doesn't look very prepossessing. There's no beads on it or specialty stitches, so there's a lot of holes. Let's see. There we go. That's much better. So that's Frosty Knot Garden. It's not going to be a very big one as chatelaines go, but it's big enough. I'll have to move. This is only part 2 that I'm working on here. So out of 6, 10. Usually they're in 12 parts, so maybe it's 12. Anyway, so the plan in June is to double up on chatelaine Wednesday. Since I'm teaching summer school, I get out at 12:30. I should be able to get home by 1. So stitch a little bit on this chatelaine and then stitch on my other summer chatelaine, which is Egypt Garden. So I do Frosty Knot Garden in the winter months, so he gets about 4 months of stitching per year, except he didn't this winter. Super bad. It's really hard to stitch on him too because I end up with headaches, and then that's really hard to stitch that white on white or the light green. This is Egypt Garden. They're much more done. And I stitch him in the summer months, so he doesn't get 8. I think he gets 5 or 6 months of stitching because there's things like mania and I don't know, Christmas in July. So, but he gets about 5 or 6 months of stitching per year. The other one I started last year and gets about 4. So again, no beads, no specialty stitches. This is just the stitching. I'm working on, it's been a minute since I worked on this, since November actually. So I'm working in here. So here's the little boats that sail in the canal, and then there's some water that goes in here and land, I think. These are the little bushes and trees. And then out here, if you've seen Egypt Garden, out here is the ibis and the lotus flowers. And then there's like a roof that goes here. And then out here is out here you can't see it. Out here is the pyramids. And then there's a faience border between the pyramids. So I've got another 2 levels to go, and I have one more Q snap, one more size bigger, but it's getting so, if I'm stitching, I've actually had to teach myself to stitch with my other hand. When I get to this side, I have to stitch with my right hand behind. I'm left-handed. So usually I stitch with my left hand behind, but I can't reach when it's on my stand this side. So I stitch with my right hand behind. It's a little slower, but it's not too bad. And I don't mind going around like this. I find that it's easier because I've done each motif, you know, and then I do it, and by the time I'm getting done, I've repeated it, you know, not having to look at the pattern so much. I do have a little bit of frogging to do on this one before I actually start making progress. When I put the trees in, goodness, it wasn't even last year. It was the year before. I didn't pick it out last year. This background, this blue background on this tree. This is so hard to actually. Okay, so see the tree, and then it has a blue sky background. This background is half stitches and they're going the wrong direction. All the other ones are going, according to the trunk, they're going the other direction. So I've got to pull the blue out and restitch it. It won't take forever. I don't want to do it. So anyway, I'm excited. It's just that each part now is taking forever to finish because it's so much bigger. Anybody that's stitched a chatelaine knows what I mean. I should probably hurry, I guess, if I'm losing disk space. So that's my Wednesday. And then my Thursday stitching, and you notice I'm changing every day because I can't do just one thing. Even doing 2 days worth in Mania is hard. I'm like, oh, I did this one yesterday. I don't mind cycling every week. That's fine. But like 2 days in a row and I'm starting to get distracted. I'm like surfing Facebook and stuff. So I really need to be changing every day if I can. This is, and I'm gonna have to pop a picture in because this is my first full coverage. It's probably not my only one, but I'm not really a full coverage stitcher. I like the things like the chatelaine and the Victoria sampler. They're interesting to stitch. There's changes, you know, different stitches and things. It's more fun for me. This I did not stitch on at all in May, and I think I owe myself a few sessions from April as well. Or maybe it was March. I don't remember. But I don't know. Again, I was having headaches in May, a lot of headaches and a lot of very light stitching here, and I just didn't feel like. So, but I want to catch up because this was a leap year start, although I started it in January, but this is meant to be finished in 4 years. So I finished one page already. This is Summer Foggy Forest by Leonid Afromov, charted by Artisy. This is a 25 or 28. I'll have to look back at my order. This is a 25 or 28 easy grid. I think it might be 28. I'm doing 10 stitch over 1 because I don't want to do full cross. I looked at it and it's like, it is kind of foggy, but the pattern itself looks foggy. I feel like if this was a different design, I would have to do full cross. Because if you look, the trees are a little bit, the black is a little bit, you can see through it. But I think it's going to be okay because when the full thing is done and you're looking at it like this, it looks fine. And the whole picture is foggy. So, but if I stitch another one that I'd like to stitch, it's a Heaven's Window, it's a desert design. I think I would have to do full cross. I don't think I could do either that or do it on a much smaller fabric. But this is already small enough. So many light colors in here. So many. And that's why I didn't really want to do it. So I'm actually to where I need to put the tree trunks in on this page. So this page is getting done. It's not almost done, I wouldn't say. But it's getting done. I need to finish 5 pages a year in order to get it done in 4 years. And I'm okay if I ended up finishing it partway into 2028. But I'd like to try to finish it 2024, 25, 26, 27. I started it in January 2028. It would be really cool if I finished it in December 2028. I'm living in the future. I started it in January 2024. It would be really cool if I finished it in December 2027. But I'm okay with going into 2028 if I need to. There's this page, and this page have the light the really light, it's the light coming into the forest. So all of these really light colors and stuff. And after that, it's not so much. So I feel like it'll be a lot easier because right now I'm just struggling because there's white, there's baby blue, there's baby aqua. They're all really light colors. Ecru, I think even 5200. It's like all these really light colors. It's hard to see the difference, and the stitches are so small. I am doing cross country because that's how I stitch. I wasn't going to try to learn to park. I'm stitching maybe 2 of these in my life. This one and the heavens window. So I'll buy a poster if I want something like that on my wall. They look awesome. All of you guys that do them, kudos to you, but it's a little too boring for me. It's not as bad as the block stitching on the baby quilt, but it's kind of that. So anyway, I do my chatelaines and my specialty stitches and I'm happy. So that's my Thursday stitching. Friday is supposed to be for ornaments. Sometimes it ends up being ornaments and sometimes it ends up being, oh, I didn't get enough done on this other one this week. Get some time in on this. So, but I did finish that ornament. And I have some others on the go. I'll show in a minute. Well, this is one I can, oh no, I don't have it. No, later. So my Saturday stitch, I usually get a lot of time in. I started these guys actually in the end of 2022. And I'm figuring if I stitch them on Saturdays in their season, so each one of them gets 2 months of Saturdays a year, I can finish them, each animal, in 2 years. This is the Cottage Garden Samplings Year in the Woods animals. So I have finished the fox. I squeaked in his finish right at the end of February, right before March Madness. And he had gotten his, 4 months worth. So it was about 4 months of Saturdays. He's on the called for. And the other 2 are going to be next to him. So I'm going to frame each one of these in a long frame when they're all finished, and then they'll be up during their season. And then the next one will be up during. So it's going to be all the same, but I'll just change it because I think that's. I also finished the raccoon right at the end of April because I was doing Mania, and so he was my spring stitch. So he's all done, and again, the other 2 are going to go next. And then I just picked this up yesterday and stitched like that much. So he didn't actually get a lot of love yesterday. I may pick him up a little during the week, or I may just try to get a lot more in this next Saturday. But I was out of the house and it was windy. I was having trouble stitching. So this is the bear, and again, and the bat I didn't get out because this is my summer stitch. So he needs to get done by the end of August. I'm not going to stitch him in July because I do Christmas in July. So like I said, it works out that each animal gets 2 months in the season. And 2 months, 4 months, and he's done. They're done. Hopefully. So I hope I can keep that up for the next, 4 years after this one? So 6 years total. That's not horrible. That sounds like a really long time, but it's not horrible if you figure each animal is only taking 4 months. And if I guess I wanted to finish them before that, I could always do more days. Okay, so we talked about all the things that I am doing each day. And because it's June and it's summertime and I have extra time to stitch, I have doubled myself up on my stitching for each day, my plans. Excuse me. So instead of stitching on one project for 2 hours every day like I normally do, I stitch on 2 projects for 2 hours. Sort of. Like I'm recording right now instead of stitching, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so the crown is something that I'm hoping to get done, the baby stitching and the seagull. The other thing that I'm hoping to get done in June, but I'm thinking I probably won't just because of how much time it takes, is this guy. This is John Clayton's Owl in Flight. This is my oldest WIP. I started him spring break 2005 on the train from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. My first 2 years teaching, I was in Bangkok, and he was my second big piece that I had ever stitched, and my second big piece on even weave as well, or a non-Aida fabric. And my first one was Lavender and Lace Celtic Christmas, which I don't have here because I've gifted it. I might get a picture of it sometime. She lives the street over, so I could get a picture. But anyway, I started him on the train. We were too dumb to know that we needed to get a sleeper car, or maybe we got our tickets too late. So I was sitting up in a 15-hour train ride with the windows open because there wasn't any air conditioning, no padding, bench seat, somebody sleeping on one side of me and my husband on the other. It was interesting. I started with the owl because he's in the middle, and also because, he's an owl. And like I said, this was my first big project, or my second big project. And I just got bogged down in those fence posts, and I put him away, and I hadn't worked on him for a long time. I've pulled him out occasionally. I want to finish him this year. I'd like to finish him this month. He has 2 pages left. There's 6 total, and 4 of them are done. I know you know how to do math. Anyway, but if I can finish 1 page in June, and then maybe when I do September, it's my birthday month, and I like to do selfish September, even though I'm doing better at getting selfish stitching done and not so much gift stitching. I could try to finish the other page in September, but I really like to finish him. Some of his stitches are flat. They've been squashed. So I'm working on this page. And then this page has still the fence to go. And then he's got little feet. I didn't do the feet because I wanted to do the stuff around the feet because they were a bunch of half stitches. And again, it was my second. I wasn't so confident about it. So yeah, I really want him done this year. And I'll try to do a page in June and maybe a little more if I can finish it. Okay, my goodness. Another thing I would like to finish in June is Victoria's number? Yeah. Green Earth. I started this when I still lived in Minnesota, with the help of a friend that worked at Stitchville, which I know just closed. I know, I don't live there. I can't go back, but I'm still sad. She helped. I started this from the bottom up because the top right here, and this is all I have left, is hardanger, and I hadn't done hardanger at the time, and I was afraid to. So I actually started at the bottom. And so I've worked my way up. And so all I have left is the hardanger mountains to do. And I have done a couple pieces since then. I have one ornament that's on the go, and I'll probably finish that first and then work on this. Or maybe I'll do this. These directions on this one are much better than the hardanger ornament I'm trying to do. I already asked for help on Instagram. And I got some books from Deborah. Hi. AZ Needleworker on Instagram. So there's not much left to go. I want to finish this month. And then I'm only doing 2 of these. I don't care for the air or the fire. The air has a bunch of pink in it, and the fire is red. Like I said, I don't really like red, so I'm doing the earth and the water, the green and the blue. That's my favorite colors. Yes, my walls are brown, but green and blue look good on brown. So yeah, want to finish that. Such a baby. Okay, now we have a bunch of, I want to finish these, and hopefully, and this is what I'll do if I finish the next one. This one is definitely going to get done this month because this is for a baby cousin. And I'm going to see the family in July. So it needs to get done in FFO so I can take it with me. This is JBW Designs Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And you can see I'm doing kind of the one that's on the front. But the one on the front was intended for the little boy. And so I have stitched 2 of the blue colors of the stars here, and I'm trying to figure out if I should stick in, instead of the 3rd blue color, if I should stick in that lighter pink or a white instead of having another blue star. Because I wanted the hot air balloon to be pink, because it is a little girl. And this is the way the little girl one looks. And The focal piece is blue. The focal point of the design is blue, but it's a little girl, and I don't know. It just didn't look right to me. So I chose to do the hot air balloon pink. I haven't put the little girl's name on just because of privacy. I'll put it on right before I have it. And I made the clouds white. Hard to see. There we go. So I just put the blue stars in last night. So it's 2 of the blues and not the 3rd. So I think I'm going to try it. This is what I'm doing for ornament stitching on Fridays right now, so that I can get this done. And I think I will try, instead of that 3rd blue, I think I will try a pink. I don't necessarily want to do white because I don't want it to look red, white, and blue. And the little beads, the little star beads that are going to go in are whitish. So I think I'll try pink. We'll see what it looks like. Any suggestions? I'm happy to hear. Okay, then when I'm done with that one, my ornament Friday ornament time or whatever. This is Britty Puppy. It's an ornament. It's a Christmas ornament. I've done it before. I got it into my head to do it 1/1. I got this far and bogged down and haven't picked it up since January. It looks weird. It looks really thick. I am doing it 2 strands, 2/1, I guess, not 1/1, because I wanted it to look thick, because I want it's the dog. The dog is a Labradoodle, so the curly hair. So I wanted it to look thick, but it looks really thick. This is the back 2 legs and the tail. I don't know. I'm going to finish it because that's a lot. I'm not going to pick that out and junk it. But the second one, I might just do 1/1 because the other dog is not curly. It's a, I don't know why I decided to do it over 1, except I wanted it to be small. The ones I did before, I did them over 2 and I thought they were too big. Anyway, so there's that. I'm sensing a theme. This is also an unfinished ornament for a few years now. Again, 1/1. It's a nice Siamese. There's no reason I'm not stitching on it, except it's just 1/1. My eyes have changed in the last year, and I found that when I'm stitching over 1 and I look up at Flosstube and I look back down, I can't focus on the stitching. So I have to take my glasses off. I don't need bifocals yet, but I guess that's the next step. So I can still see it. I can see to stitch it. Like even right now when I'm looking at it, I can see it fine. But again, when I'm tired or have a lot of headaches, I've had a lot of headaches this year. I haven't had a headache since school. I just don't want to stitch something that tiny. So I'm going to try to finish these things over the summer where I'm not stressed out. I'm sleeping all night. I'm not holding my shoulders at some stiff angle. Another one I'd like to get done, and this one looks like absolutely nothing. This is I want to say it's UA Stitch. I'd have to check on Etsy. It was one of the Ukrainian designs I bought a couple of years ago when we were all buying Ukrainian designs. And it's 2 bunnies sitting together. I had it to this point and then realized I'd done something wrong, frogged it all, restitched it, and then I haven't picked it up since. But it's an ornament for my husband and I, because bunnies are a thing. And I'd like to get it done. It's really big fabric. It was just a scrap of brown I had somewhere. A lot of these are just scraps. I'm sorry, I haven't been saying what the fabric is because I mostly don't know. Even when I do know, I don't remember. But this is a big count. Like the X's are huge. And that's weird. It feels weird. I usually stitch on 28 or 32, so I think this one might be at 25. Just feels humongous. Here's another ornament that I'd like to get done. This was a freebie from Teresa Wensler. It's still a freebie on her website, unless she took it down. I think she might have taken it down. It was a teaching piece for one of her big designs, the tropical garden, tropical breeze maybe. So these little freebies had some of this techniques she was going to use in the big design, and so I like the freebies. I've done several of them. I did this not last year, but the year before. I changed the colors to blue and yellow because it's like a peach or salmon color. Changed the colors to blue and yellow and stitched a sunflower in the middle and gave it to a Ukrainian friend of mine. But this one I'm stitching is charted. The center is 1/1. I didn't realize that the first time when I started it and stitched it over 2. And so now I have a nice little flower motif that has no bearing on reality. I don't know. Maybe it could be a part of a Biscornium or something. And so that's for a friend. This is for me. So again, always gets left behind. This was the one I asked for help on Instagram and got help from a couple people. Thank you very much. This was by either Whispered by the Wind or Northern Expressions. I want to say it's Whispered by the Wind. The instructions were not good. Like, I couldn't figure out what to do. So I finally talked to people. I have some books. I guess they assume that you know what you're doing already and that you're just doing the pattern. So they didn't explain some stuff. And I was like, what do I do here? I didn't know what to do. So I got some help. Again, thank you. And I'm working on the edge, but I haven't picked this up since November because I've been busy doing other stuff. And I keep screwing up the edge. I think I've done this particular one where the needle is. I think I've done it like 4 or 5 times. I think I might do the green earth hardanger first because this one is the edge I'm having trouble with is the live edge, and the green earth doesn't have a live edge. So I think I'll do the green earth first before I try to do this. Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost to the bottom. I promise. I said this wasn't a proper WIP braid. I still have like boxes of things that are started. Okay, this is another one that is getting, it's kind of odd because it's a seasonal piece. This is the summer part. I started this 2 years ago and I finished what I have, the inner part, last summer. I did this part last fall. This, you're gonna see something scary in just a minute. I'll tell you about that in a second. This part is the winter. You see, I didn't get quite as much done in the winter, and this is the spring. I told you May was a wash. April was not great either. So I'd like to do at least as much on the spring as I've done on the winter. Like I have this little thing done, and then there's a boat that shares space with both the winter and the spring section that I'd like to do before I move on to summer again. But this just happened last week. I have a cup warmer on my desk, and someone else was using my desk and accidentally bumped the on button, and this was sitting in its hoop. It's a really big hoop, and that's a burn. Yes, that's a burn. I happened to come in like a couple hours later and was like, ooh, if I had just gone to bed, because I was stitching out in the living room because they were using my computer, and if I hadn't come in to like make sure lights were off and stuff, this would have been flames at some point in the night, because you can see it's quite dark. It's not black yet, but it's definitely dark brown. That was last week. I'm like, ugh. So that was exciting. But I do want to finish a little more on the spring section. Just the matching thing of this and maybe the boat that shares here. And then I will pick up more on the summer. I've been doing this like if I get up on time and I'm ready to go to work before I actually have to leave for work, I spend like 15 minutes or 20 minutes stitching. And so that it doesn't get a lot of work, but it's not for me, it's for my mom, but she doesn't know about it. And when it gets done, it's done, and I'll finish it into a pillow or a framed piece and hang it. And either way, the burn won't show. I'll make sure this is. Ooh. That was so scary. Oh, and here's the, oh, and I didn't say what it's by. It's called Seasons by the Sea by Jeanette Douglas. So this is the spring. See, look at all the little motifs. And there's the ship. Sorry for the plastic. And here's the summer. So each piece has this center, waves and sand, and then they all 4 go together. autumn and winter. And you can see the ship. So it's gonna look really nice. Again, my parents live in Maine, so it's really appropriate. And yeah, just do a motif in a morning or something when I have time, and it's nice. But helps if I don't set it on fire. Okay, so that's all the stuff for the next 2 weeks for sure of what I'm going to be stitching. All those little smalls, that's not a 2 weeks plan. That's a, if I finish this one, I'm going to go to the next one. I have a couple other things to show, but this is like super long already, so I don't know if I should or wait until the next video. Let me see what I have here. It's only 2, 3. I'll just do it. So I told you about my week. I stitched this on Sunday, this on Monday, blah blah. I also have a couple dates in a month that I stitch on stuff. So for example, my grandmother passed away last January. Last January? End of last January. Her birthday was January 19th. So she died right after her birthday. And she was half Belarusian, and she loved owls. My cousins and I counted owls in her house one time when we were bored, and we got to 350, and she said there were still more, but we did all the ones we could find. But still, like on towels, on the wall, little figurines. I have one. He sits up there and watches me while I'm stitching. I have a file cabinet. Anyway, so I chose to do, and I will have to find a photo online of what he's supposed to look like. But this is a very, very, very big great horned owl. I've seen a couple of people stitching this, so you might have seen him. He has his wings come out. So this is like his body, and then his wings come out on either side. This is the rolled up fabric for half of it, and there's the other half. Nice big roll. That's a lot of fabric. Big, big, long. He's actually, probably my arm span. So anyway, so I stitch him when I can on the 19th of each month. He has not gotten the 19th of each month since I started him last year. I've worked out how to stitch on black fabric. I have to wear a headlamp. Putting something underneath didn't help. But if I wear a headlamp and have the thing coming and the light coming over my shoulder as well, it's fine. I hadn't shown him before last April when I worked on him because I put the eyes in last time, and before that he just looked like a weird white blob, and it was really strange. But now that he has eyes, you can tell it's something. So I'll be posting pictures now when I work on him. Did not work on him in May. I was hoping to, but May. So he will get some love in June on the 19th. And so that's Wednesday, so I won't be doing my chatelaines that day, but I will probably shuffle them off to some other day because I do want to actually work on my chatelaines because that's a lot. Also on the 19th, I will be stitching. This is these stitches. Sweet Freedom. I stitch her on Martin Luther King Day, I stitch her on voting day, and I stitch her on Juneteenth. So she's actually gotten, can't work out where to hold this. There we go. She's actually gotten quite a lot of stitching. I started her 2 summers ago. Oh, and I also stitch her part of the week of July 4th. So July 1, I stitched the Canadian flag for Canada Day. July 2 or 3, I stitch her. I have another one I do on July 2 or 3, the other one. And then on July 4th, I stitch the American flag, or I try to anyway. Doesn't always happen. So I have some patriotic stitching, but it's not like here's a big flag. Not really into that. And I did have another one that was a patriotic type stitching, but I finished it last year and FFO'd it, so I'll show that in July. But anyway, so she gets love on the appropriate days. So on June 19th, she'll also be stitched. Hoping to finish. I think I'm filling in her skirt, so I'm hoping to And then this, every 25th of the month, I'm stitching this Barbara Anna Let It Snow. I've changed the colors again. Same reason. I don't like brown Christmases. So I've changed the colors, actually used a lot of the same ones I used in the cardinal. And I want to finish this and FFO it for Christmas. And maybe the wrong cording that I got for the cardinal will work on this one. It's got some more orangey red in it than the cardinal does. So I mentioned that I have 12 Christmas WIPs. This is one of them. The cardinal was one. And I thought for some of the smaller ones, each year I want to stitch on the 25th of each month and try to finish them so that I actually have some Christmas stitching. If I only stitch on them in July and December gets thrown out the window sometimes because of Christmas presents, then I'm never going to have Christmas stitching of my own to put up. So I really focused on the cardinal last year. I stitched him at other times and finished him. I really worked to finish him. And this year I've been stitching this one on the 25th of each month, or, thereabouts. At least one day every month. And when I finish it, then I will actually start Barbara Anna Dreaming Mrs. Claus. So that'll take the place of this. So I'll still have 12 Christmas WIPs, but I'll have 2 up in my house. Again, selfish stitching. I'm working on it. Okay, wow, that was a lot. Okay, I have haul and I have 2 other things that I'm planning to start in June. I will be as quick as possible, and then this has been already a really long video. These other 2 are not actually cross stitching, they're quilting. I learned from my baby stitching not to try to cross stitch blocks for quilts for my friends' babies, because here we are 4 years later and I have 2 done out of 6. Even if I cut it down to 4, it's still 2 done out of 4, even though I have a third one. Anyway, so I have another friend who had a baby, and she wanted this wallpaper for her nursery and was not able to get it. I found the fabric on Etsy, and so then I just kitted up. I'm just gonna make like a patch quilt, just patches, easy peasy. So some little clouds, some night sky, some, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, you can. It's minky. It's really soft. Or maybe it's just brushed. I don't think it's actual minky. Little gray stars. And then I got enough of this fabric so that this can be a block on the front as well as the backing. So I'll just make a baby quilt. But she's pregnant again. And it's going to be another boy. This fabric exists in green. I don't know if she'll want another green one, or if she'll want a green one, because she was really particular about this being blue in this particular wallpaper, which she couldn't get and didn't want it in another color. So I'm going to check in with her now that it's summer and I have time to dither about and go shopping online, and ask her if she would like a matching one in green, or if she'd like a different one that's also blue, but just not the same fabric, so they're not fighting blankets. I mean, they're hardly old enough to fight over anything. One of them's not even born. But my goal is to cut the blocks for these, stitch them up, bind the quilt this summer. Maybe not in June, but definitely finish it before school starts. If I can manage that and even cut the blocks for the next one, I try to do that. Because on Sundays, if I don't have to do lesson plans, I can quilt for some of the day. Life. Okay, this other one is not a happy one. One of my students was killed. One of my former students was killed this last year, in not a good situation. And I had him in 3rd grade, and that was in 2019, 2020. So he was about 12, and yeah, it was a mess. His favorite color was green, and I got this really soft green fabric, and then this same fabric in a black, just because it goes nicely with the green. And I'm gonna make not a fleece tie blanket, but I have blanket binding, and I'm just gonna bind the 2. It's stretchy and soft, really soft. I think it is minky. I'm just going to bind the two together. I have a initial patch, you know, the people used to put on their jeans or their backpacks or whatever. Maybe they still do that. I'm old. But I'm going to put his initial on each side in the opposing color. So a black initial on the green one and a green one on the black, and put a binding on it and give it to the parents. So that's a very, very quick project, not a happy project. And I've kind of dithered in doing it, but I need to hurry and do it because the summer school, I'm teaching summer school at my old school. So I can still give it to someone to give to the family. But then when I leave to go to my new school, I won't have contact with the family anymore. So that also needs to get done. I'll probably do that first before I do the baby glow, so that I make sure I finish it by the end of June. It shouldn't take too long. Yeah. So not fun, but it will be. Hopefully, it's very cozy. It's a very drapey, cozy sock. Which you've probably been waiting for this entire time. Oh, it's only a little bit. I promised it was a small amount. I am on Stitch for Stash, Stitch from Stash. And I kitted up some stuff. So I'm actually behind in my stitching from stashing, you know, my finishes versus what I purchased. But I promised myself that if I was successful in finishing March Madness, I would get something. I would get this floss and not count it for Stitch from Stash. That was my prize for finishing March Madness, and I did. I spent 14 hours on the last day of March finishing, but I finished it. This is a floss pack of Dinky Dyes silk to stitch Northern Expressions Needleworks Twisted Band Sampler, and I forget what the other one is, but I'm going to do one on black and one on white. I had this was a gift from a friend last year. I just didn't have the floss. I'm not planning on starting it this year. I was planning on starting it this year, but the dragon stitching and the leap year Sal and that just kind of developed on its own. So I will probably start it next year. But just go. It's gonna be so good. I think I'll do the white one first though, so I kind of get used to the idea. There's two. There's the twisted band sampler and then the other companion piece that goes the other direction. I can't think of what it is. I'll put it. All right. So that's the little bit of haul I had. I didn't buy it in April. I waited until May to buy it, but I have it. That's the end of the cross stitch stuff. That is really long, and if you're still here, you're amazing because I've been talking. I feel like I've been talking forever. I have cross stitch all over the floor on both sides of me. And I said this wasn't a proper WIP braid, and it's not. That's why I'm not doing a proper WIP braid. Maybe I'll do like a little segment where I bring up one of my ones out of the closet and show it. Like the one that's gathering dust in the closet. No, they're not. They're in boxes. But I have a lot of WIPs. Anyway, and I like to talk. Teacher. So if you don't want to see anything else other than stitching, then this would be the time. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked my WIPs. It's a ridiculous amount right now, and it's not even a quarter of what I've got actually started in the closet. And we won't talk about kitted things that aren't started. Yeah, I'm trying to finish them. Anyway, so thank you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you come back. I'm hoping to do another video in 2 weeks with some of the progress I've made in June already. After this, I'm going to have a little segment about some of the other things I'm interested in, food, books, music, geeky things. So it's non-stitching. But thank you for staying, and if you stay till the end, don't forget to put Carrot in the chat if you would like to be part of the giveaway for the Country Cottage Needleworks Dream Big. So cute. Anyway, thank you. So there we have it. My June plans, you know, only a month. So I hope you enjoyed seeing all of my regular everyday WIPs, and the next video will actually be showcasing my Christmas and July stuff, as well as showing how far I got on the whips that I stitched in June. So, until next time, thanks for visiting my hobbit hole.